G'day, I'm Owen from Strange World Carnivores, and today I'm going to demonstrate how we're going to take this overgrown Sarracenia out of the pot. We're going to clean it up and we're going to divide it and we're going to repot the whole thing. Now, I've got my cameraman today is Rob, and he can't show his face on TV because he's a public servant, so how you going, Rob? Thanks.
Good, mate.
Alright, so as you can see here, this plant's got lots and lots of nice new growth on it. It's probably getting a little bit late in the season for a lot of people to repot them, but you can divide and repot these up until about this point. The pitches are all just starting to form up and the flowers haven't opened up yet. So it's in, you know, good rapid growth, and it'll adjust pretty well to being divided up. A lot of people want to do it through the winter. I do a lot of my repotting through the winter, but it's just how it is. Anyway, we'll get into it. So this pot's starting to get deformed where the plant's hitting up against the edges, and to get it out I'm just going to lift it up, give it a little bit of a bang around the edges to loosen it up, and just turn it upside down, give it a bit of a shake. Now if that doesn't work, you can always sacrifice a pot. I'm using some shears here just to take the edge off the pot. And now that can go to the recycle. Now I've got a label here, and this is a plant that I grew from seed in 2015. That's all the information that I have on it, so who knows what it is. So have a look here. You've got this lovely big deep root system, but the thing is this plant's got some weeds in there, and this particular weed here has these little bulbs underneath the ground, and unless you get rid of all of that, it'll get back into your pot and cause you a lot of drama. So the next step I'm going to do is to wash away all the soil. So Rob might want to stand back so he doesn't get covered in gunk. By washing away the soil, you'll expose the rhizome, and you'll be able to see all the spots where you can divide the plant up. See, the roots are starting to get nice and exposed now. Okay, we're just about getting there. Now look, you've got some little hitchhikers in here. Here's a Drosera banata. We can put that aside and we can pot that up in its own little pot if we wish. I'm just going to tease these roots out a little bit more. Once we get to this stage, that's when we can start to divide the plant up. So here I'm just going to hold it and give a little bit of a wriggle. Now it is attached to the mother rhizome in there, but you'll see shortly that it's got a nice root system of its own, and that's what you want. So I won't do the whole thing, I'll just do this one. Now here's some old growth from previous years. What I'd like to do is just to pull that away, that old dead material. Okay, once we've done that, and under here we've got another forming piece of rhizome. Now that just wriggles away. Now this hasn't been exposed to light before, so yes, you can repot this. It's got some roots, it's got a growth point, and it'll go alright, but when I replant this, I'll actually see that this will all discolour because it's getting hit by the sun. It won't look really well for a while, but that will grow. So I'll put that aside. But we'll go back to our main one here. So this has got a single growth point on it. If your rhizomes are branching and they're connected really solidly, leave them together. You'll get a better result from your plant. But if they come away to single growth points just like this, that's going to be pretty good too. This is a beautiful example. You've got some lovely roots there. Note the colour of the roots, they're nice and white. It's got brand new roots forming up here, and that is your growth point. So I'm just going to give a little bit of one more little blast just to wash it off. I'm just trying to get rid of many of the weed seeds and bits of root that I can before I pot this on. So I've got a selection of different size pots here. This is a 180mm pot, and it's a little bit roomy for this plant. I mean, you could put it in there and let it go and it'll be happy for a couple of years. However, I'm probably going to sell off this division, and I don't want to take up too much space. So my rule of thumb is you place the back end of the rhizome against the pot with the growing point towards the middle. So that gives it space to spread out. Now, once again, if we have a look at the length of the roots, I could use a deeper pot, but these roots will be fine in this pot. So we'll move over here. In here I've got a mixture of one part perlite to 2 parts peat moss. It's the preferred mix I use for Sarracenia. And what I like to do is just put a little handful of the mix just to cover up the holes in the bottom of the pot. Then I'll place the specimen there, holding the rhizome near to the top of the pot, because you want to get that reasonably level with the pot. If you have a look here where that light white and pink, all that was under the ground before. So that's the sort of level that we're looking at as far as the depth of the soil goes. So hold it. This mix is a little on the dry side. However, we will water it in really well after we've done this. So I'm just putting handfuls of mix in here, and I give it a tap, and that helps it get that mix around the roots. And then I just start to compress that mix fairly firmly, but you're not trying to turn it into a solid rock. You just want to make sure you've got rid of any of the air spaces around the roots. So just keep on topping it up. Hold on to that rhizome until you get to the point where the plant can support itself, like such. Then just using your thumbs and your fingers, just pinch around it just to firm that soil down again. Fill up any holes. I like to overfill them a little bit. Once you've done that, we'll pop it back over here. Now it can go into a water tray, and we give it a good water in. So if you've got one of these gadgets, they're great. I'm going to just switch it over to a shower. It's sort of, and we'll water it in. And as we water it in, you can see that it is starting to settle down, and it's cleaned up any of the excess potting mix that's sitting on the plant. While that sits in the water tray, that peat and perlite will start to suck up the water, and you're done. Now, another thing I'd like to show you is when you go through your plants, sometimes you'll find your rhizomes. I like to check the back end of the rhizome. So imagine this is the front and you've got the growing material on there. This is from a plant that I did earlier. If you have a look here, that dead brown material, that's a bit of rot. So what I do is I go through and I just keep snipping it away section by section until I start to find the white tissue. And then once you have removed all of that brown rot, then you're right to go. Then you'd pot that up in the same way as we do here. Also, with this piece of rhizome, I can grow a new plant from it. So I'll just give this a little clean up. And if you just rub your thumb across the top and take away any of the old sort of skin material from the plant, you will see these little nodules along here. There's one there, and these little guys are dormant growth buds, and without that main growth point, all the plant hormones and the auxins are concentrated in these little spots. So what we can do with this, it's got some nice roots on there, they're nice and white, there's no rot in here now. We can pot this up in the same manner that we did with the growing point. Water it in and leave it, and in a couple of months you'll have some little clusters of plants that will develop their own root system, and then the next season you can take that out of the pot, take the divisions off, and you've got fresh new plants from that. So that's pretty much it for how I go about doing my Sarracenia repotting, and thanks again to Rob for the camera work. I'll see you next time.